The Pittsburgh Steelers have no excuse. That's the tone we need to set for this game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Not because it's some must-win playoff scenario or a heated rivalry matchup with massive implications, but because of the state of the Bengals' defense, or more accurately, the complete collapse of it. If you're a Steelers fan, you shouldn't just hope to see touchdowns. You should expect a flood of them. That's how wide open this opportunity is for Pittsburgh's offense. There's no dancing around it. The Bengals' defense has been nothing short of a disaster this season, and now is the time for the Steelers to show that they're not just grinding out wins. They can dominate when the door is wide open. Let's talk numbers, because this isn't just about vibes or perceptions. Cincinnati currently has the second worst total defense in the entire NFL. Let that sink in for a second. Only the Cowboys, who've had their own breakdowns lately, are statistically worse. The Bengals are giving up almost 400 yards of offense per game. That's not just bad. That's historically awful. And they're not even consistent in how they struggle. They're getting gashed through the air, on the ground, in short yardage situations, in the red zone, all over the field. Against the pass, they're surrendering 258 yards per game, also second worst in the league. On the ground, 135 yards per game. That's bottom 5. And in terms of points, they're allowing over 30 points a game. That's not just bad day at the office territory. That's fire alarm levels of underperformance. And to make things worse for Cincinnati, yes, worse, they're dealing with key injuries. Trey Hendrickson, their top defensive player, might not even suit up due to a back issue. Without him on the field, their pass rush drops from average to invisible. And that's before even mentioning how depleted their offense is with Joe Burrow and others already out. So this is not a game the Steelers should be squeaking by in. This is a game where Pittsburgh should be putting up a statement, and that statement should say, loudly and clearly, this offense can explode when it's supposed to. And here's the thing. There's real momentum right now. There are signs that the Steelers might finally be coming together on offense, and not in a fluky way. You saw it last week against the Browns, and that's important, because that Browns defense is legit. Top 3 in the NFL by just about every meaningful metric. And yet the Steelers move the ball. They balanced the run and the pass. They didn't rely on miracle plays or defensive touchdowns. They worked their way down the field. Arthur Smith deserves a ton of credit here. This wasn't some conservative, play-it-safe strategy. No, he opened up the playbook like it was January football. He threw in new formations, multiple tight end sets, screens, deep balls, crossing routes, middle attacks, sideline fades, everything. He even dialed up a touchdown for his 4th-string tight end. That's not conservative. That's daring. That's coaching like someone who knows his team needs to evolve, and fast. What's even more encouraging is the variety in the personnel usage. It's not just about dialing up new plays. It's about using the entire roster to execute them. The Steelers don't have a roster full of Pro Bowlers on offense, but they do have a collection of weapons who, if used correctly, can hurt defenses. And we're finally seeing that start to happen. Guys are getting open. Routes are being designed to create mismatches. And the offensive line, while still inconsistent, is starting to get more help through scheme and timing, rather than being left on an island. There's also a noticeable shift in the tight end usage, and that could be huge this week. Cincinnati has consistently struggled against tight ends for what feels like forever. That weakness hasn't gone anywhere. So why not exploit it? The Steelers have depth at tight end. Even with Pat Freiermuth out, the options are still strong. Get the ball to these guys. Let them make plays in space. Pound the middle of the field where Cincinnati can't hold coverage. Force their linebackers into bad matchups and go after them again and again. There's nothing disrespectful about doing what works, and right now, everything suggests the tight ends could be the key to breaking the game wide open. But here's where the mindset needs to shift, and I mean this for fans, coaches, and especially the players. This can't be just about surviving or doing just enough. That has been the Steelers' identity for too long. They grind. They claw. They wait for the opponent to make the mistake. But not this time. This is the week to be aggressive from start to finish. Forget about the idea of easing into the game or feeling out the opponent. This Bengals defense is already wounded. Don't give them a chance to find their rhythm. Punch them in the mouth from the first drive. No settling for field goals. No conservative red zone calls. Just go score. Go execute. Go prove that all the small improvements we've seen are adding up to something real. Because the Steelers actually have made those improvements. You can see it not just in the play design, but in the overall identity of the offense. There's more confidence, more rhythm, more trust in the quarterback. The routes are sharper. The timing is tighter. And maybe most importantly, the players look like they believe in what's being called. That hasn't always been the case. But now, with Arthur Smith dialing up plays like it's the playoffs, there's a sense that the pieces are finally starting to click. And if that's true, this is the game where we should see the proof. Yes, Calvin Austin being out is a blow. The wide receiver 2 spot is still a work in progress. But the Steelers aren't empty-handed. And they don't need to be flashy to be effective. What they need is execution. What they need is intent. And what they need is a willingness to step on the gas and not let up. That's how you win in this league. That's how you separate from the pack. And that's how you turn a dangerous team into a playoff team. So again, 30 points. That's the number. That's not a prediction. That's not a hope. That's the minimum expectation against a defense this bad, in this much disarray. The Steelers are better than the Bengals right now, in every way that matters. It's time they act like it. Now, let's shift the focus to the part that's just as important, mentality. Not just the physical execution on the field, but the mindset this team walks in with on Thursday night. Because one of the most frustrating things we've seen over the years from Pittsburgh is this tendency to play down to their competition. They'll show up with fire against the top team, push themselves to the edge, maybe even pull off a gritty upset. But then the very next week, flat, uninspired, playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And that's exactly what they need to avoid here. This Bengals team is not good right now. Defensively, they're a liability. Offensively, they're depleted. And emotionally, they're coming off a loss that probably drained the little momentum they had left. So if the Steelers walk into this game with anything less than urgency and hunger, that's on them. This is the time to show that the culture is shifting, that this team isn't just reacting to its opponent. It's asserting itself, setting the tone. Mike Tomlin has been called a lot of things over the years. Steady, consistent, tough-minded, but not always adaptable. And yet, credit where it's due, we saw real change last week. We saw him and his staff take risks they usually avoid. The Steelers made actual, meaningful adjustments, schematically, in personnel, in game plan philosophy. And it wasn't just change for the sake of change. It worked. For the first time in what felt like forever, you saw an offense that wasn't afraid to push the boundaries, wasn't content with just hanging around. They threw the ball in unexpected spots. They ran behind six-man fronts. They leaned into matchups instead of pretending they could win every battle straight up. And it made a difference that needs to continue. There's been some talk, and it's fair talk, about whether Art Rooney had a conversation with Tomlin, maybe urged him to get out of his comfort zone. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. But at the end of the day, what matters is that it did change. Whether the motivation came from ownership, from the embarrassment of recent losses, or from within, something shifted. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say the guy who's been frustrating for years just might be adjusting now. And if that's the case, he deserves recognition for it. Because if the biggest knock on Tomlin was his refusal to evolve, and then he actually evolves, that's not hypocrisy. That's growth. And it's something Steelers fans should be watching closely. One of the boldest moves we saw was the use of Spencer Anderson as a sixth offensive lineman for more than a third of the snaps. That's massive. That's not a little wrinkle. That's a full-on shift in how you build your protection, how you run your plays, how you structure your identity. It gave the quarterback more time. It opened up the running game. It created angles that the defense wasn't prepared for. That level of adjustment isn't something we've seen often from this regime. But now we have. And it's opened the door to a completely different level of offense. And speaking of the quarterback, he deserves a piece of this conversation too. No, he hasn't been perfect. Yes, there's still throws you want back, still drives that stall out. But there's a different energy now. There's a calm. There's a command. He's starting to look like someone who's not just trying to survive the snap. He's seeing the whole field, managing the tempo, trusting his options. That only happens when the offense itself is built to allow those things. The confidence of a quarterback is rarely just about him. It's about the system giving him the space to operate. And now, it looks like that's finally happening. There's also this feeling, and it's been growing over the past few weeks, that the team is buying in. Not just going through the motions, not just sticking to the script because the coaches said so, but actually buying into the plan. You can see it in the energy after a big run, the way receivers finish routes, the timing of the blocks, the emotion on the sideline. That stuff matters. That's the culture shift. That's when a team starts to believe it can do more than just hang around. That's when a team starts to expect to win. And in this league, especially in games like this, that mental edge is everything. Now, let's not pretend like the Bengals are completely helpless. Even with Burrow out, they still have explosive receivers, and that alone can flip a game in one snap if the defense falls asleep. So no, this isn't a game where you take your foot off the gas at halftime and cruise. This is the kind of game where you build a lead, and then you bury them. That's the part the Steelers haven't done enough of in the past. Getting up early is great, but staying aggressive, keeping pressure, closing the door, that's what good teams do. That's what playoff teams do. And this week is a chance to prove they belong in that conversation. There's also something to be said for the timing of this matchup. It's a short week. Thursday night. Limited preparation. Fatigue is a factor. But the Steelers are coming off a game where they finally seemed to turn the corner offensively. That momentum matters. The Bengals, meanwhile, are banged up and emotionally drained. So while short weeks are usually traps, this one actually plays to Pittsburgh's advantage. They don't need to install a whole new scheme. They just need to continue what they did on Sunday and do it even better. Sharpen the execution, clean up the penalties, make smarter decisions in the red zone, and keep trusting the creative side of the playbook. The tight ends, again, are going to be crucial. This is the position group that has the clearest advantage over Cincinnati's defense. They can't cover these guys. They haven't been able to for years. Whether it's inside routes, chip and release, seam stretches, red zone mismatches, it's all there. Use it. Target it. Abuse it. Don't overthink it. If the Bengals can't stop it, keep going to it. That's what smart teams do. You don't win games with balance for the sake of balance. You win games by finding a weakness and exploiting it until they beg you to stop. And that's the final piece of the mentality shift that needs to lock in right now. Ruthlessness. The Steelers have always been proud, always tough, always resilient, but they haven't always been ruthless. They haven't always gone into a game with a mindset of crushing an opponent when the opening is there. That has to change. This is the week to do it. Not just because the Bengals are struggling, but because the Steelers finally have the tools, the game plan, and the momentum to make a real leap forward. A leap that says, we're not just surviving anymore. We're here to take over. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL rumor mill, whispers are swirling that Browns backfield star, Joe Flacco, might be swapping the Browns' brown and orange for a striking black and gold. Sources close to the situation hint that Flacco is not just testing the waters. He's reportedly closing in on a deal with the Philadelphia Eagles, a team long rumored to be seeking veteran stability in the quarterback room. Fans of the Browns, still reeling from the possibility of losing one of their key offensive weapons, have taken to social media with mixed reactions. Some expressed disbelief that Flacco, whose career has seen its fair share of highs and lows, would make such a bold leap across the league. Others, however, see it as a calculated move for the veteran signal caller, who might find renewed opportunity under the Eagles' offensive scheme. The intrigue lies not only in Flacco's potential new home, but also in the timing. As teams jockey for playoff positioning and off-season priorities begin to take shape, the addition of a seasoned quarterback could be exactly the jolt Philadelphia has been looking for. The Eagles, known for a dynamic offense yet inconsistently anchored at the quarterback position, would certainly benefit from Flacco's experience, particularly in high-pressure situations. While official announcements remain pending, insiders suggest that Flacco's transition could be smoother than expected. Sources indicate that negotiations have progressed quickly, fueled by mutual interest and the allure of a fresh start for the veteran. If finalized, this move would not only reshape the Eagles' depth chart, but also send a clear message to the league. Philadelphia is serious about bolstering its roster with proven talent. As the rumor mill churns, fans and analysts alike are left to speculate. Will Joe Flacco don black and gold, or is this just another tantalizing tease in the endless saga of NFL trade gossip? One thing is certain. If the deal goes through, the upcoming season promises to be one of the most talked about in recent memory, with Flacco at the center of a narrative that could redefine both his career and the Eagles' trajectory. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.